So, also I want to thank you very much for the invitations, organizers, of course, for the invitation to the Greifswald University and the possibility to present my paper. And now let's return from the political history and security problem to the terminal, but in another place, in Klaipeda. During the Cold War, the Baltic Sea was a place of tension between the two military blocs, and Soviet-controlled Baltic ports became a militarized strongholds. The Kaliningrad, former Königsberg area, became a heavily guarded and closed military zone. Liepaja in Latvia became an important submarine base and warship port. Meanwhile, Klaipeda has been the main Soviet fishing port in the Baltic Sea since 1950s, as the Soviet Union leaders struggled to solve food shortages. Klaipeda port and the city was centered around the river Dange and threatened some 12 kilometers to the south, with the last major port facility built in the Soviet time, the Klaipeda-Mukran International Sea Ferry Terminal. As it was mentioned also by my colleague, international terminal was intended served for military strategic goals of the Soviet Union. Already after the events in 1968 in Czechoslovakia, the Soviet military command started to think about alternatives to supply the Soviet troops stationed in the East Germany. And as it also was mentioned, in 1979, 1980, worker strikes in Poland and Solidarność movement threatened to disrupt military transit to the East Germany by land. Why was Klaipeda chosen as a location for the ferry terminal? Several alternatives were considered when choosing the location of the international ferry terminal: the ports of Kaliningrad, Liepaja, Ventspils, and Klaipeda. But Kaliningrad, with its deep harbor entrance, was not a suitable location for the ferries. And also, like Ventspils, Kaliningrad was freezing Baltic port in winter. And the military port of Liepaja lacked space. So Klaipeda was chosen as non-freezing seaport. Secondly, Klaipeda was connected to Šiauliai, which had a large Soviet troop deployments and was a strategical military airport, and still is, but it's NATO forces now. And also, Klaipeda was connected by the railway line with Riga, and then onwards by Vilnius and Minsk, and of course with Kaliningrad. And the Klaipeda-Vilnius highway also supplemented the developed logistic links. The location chosen for the terminal was near the ship repair company, where the entrance channel was deepened to 9 meters, allowing the entry of the high draft vessels. And the last but not least, as one of the port managers at this time said for me, that Lithuanian builders, unlike those in Kaliningrad, always followed the plans and carried out the work to a high standard. In 18th of June 1982, the Soviet Union and the German Democratic Republic signed an agreement on the construction of the terminals in Mukran and Klaipeda terminals in the Baltic Sea. Construction of International Klaipeda Sea Ferry Terminal started in 1983 and lasted among 3 years. The 1st of September 1983, the Soviet Council of Ministers adopted a decision on construction of ferry terminal, and in December the same year, the grandiose construction of the Smelter Peninsula in the southern part of the harbor was started. Southern Peninsula was, yes, that's on the edge. It's an old map you can see. At first, before it was like a virgin lands. I mean, untouched beauty of the nature, but all has changed. And so the first phase alone involved the excavation of 4 million cubic meters of soil, the laying of almost 10,000 tons of bricks, the laying of approximately 60,000 cubic meters of concrete, etc., and also laying of 55 kilometers of pipe, the 47 kilometers of electricity cables, the construction of new high voltage electricity transmission line across the bay, and the reconstruction of railway line with the laying of the 62 kilometers of new railway. The railway station, new railway station, Draugiste, or Friendship, was built in the vicinity of the Cape Smelter to serve the terminal and still serves Klaipeda seaport today. The marine part of the terminal was designed by the Kasp Imor Project Institute in Baku, Azerbaijan. The railway part was designed by Leninprom Trans Company in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, and the civil buildings by Kaunas Company, Pram Project. The railway drawbridges as well as the electronic equipment for the terminal were manufactured in East Germany factories and installed and coordinated also by specialists from the GDR. The sophisticated modern electronic controls had to automatically adjust the height of the railway bridge and connection to the ferry during loading. The entire loading process, during which the ship sank 2 meters, had to be controlled by automation, and the height of the bridge had to be maintained at the desk level. This terminal, or terminals, also including Mukrali, had to be the most advanced in the world, not only because, well, the large ferries, but also because of the unique technology of connecting two height railways to the ship at the same time and loading both decks at once. Until then, in world shipping practice, carriages were brought on board only at the time and lifted onto different decks by elevators, which took a considerable amount of time. From a military point of view, time is really a crucial element in operational planning, and such technologies have made possibility to speed up loading operations. Terminal allowed a whole tank division, it's more than 200 heavy tanks, and other military equipment to be moved to East Germany from Klaipeda in a matter of 2 days on railway platforms. The first ferry, Mukran, loading 100 wagons under the command of Captain Gerhard Thiemann, sailed 250-mile long way from Klaipeda to Mukran on 12th of September 1986. On 3rd of October 1986, the Klaipeda International Sea Ferry Terminal was inaugurated. Later I will show very quickly these photos. And the ceremony was attended by one of the leaders of Communist Party, Algirdas Brazauskas, who later became first president of Lithuania. Otto Arndt, Minister of Transport of German Democratic Republic and Director of State Railways, and others representatives from both sides. The first ferry serving the line Klaipeda-Mukran were built in the, as I mentioned, in the Varnam in the shipyard, and according to the plan, 6 ferries were to operate on the line. At the end of 1986, the second ferry, Vilnius, was launched at the Wismar shipyard. These vessels were registered in the Guinness Book of Records in the 1986 as the world's largest ferries carrying railway wagons. Later, other ferries, Kaunas, Klaipeda, and Greifswald, were added to the Guinness Book of Records, and the last 6th ferries that was planned, German ferry Wismar, remained unbuilt after the fall of the Berlin Wall. If we are speaking about the ferries, that this own vessel was 190 meters long, 28 meters wide, and superstructure was 15 meters above the water. The loaded vessel had a draught of 8 meters and lifting capacity of 12,000 tons. The ships, as I mentioned, had 2 cargo decks, each with 5 railway sittings. The ferry could accommodate 103 wagons, 49 on the lower decks and 54 on the upper decks. Just imagine how big is a number of these wagons. Well, in that place where we are, we can put maybe 4 wagons, no more. So just imagine 100 wagons, and how sophisticated infrastructure was and how sophisticated vessels was. The Mukran-Klaipeda-Mukran voyage was designed to take 80, as I mentioned, 48 hours, 20 hours were spent on the journey from Mukran to Klaipeda, otherwise from Klaipeda to Mukran. 4 hours were spent unloading and loading the ship. The capacity of the whole complex at first was 1.1 million tons per year, and later in the 1989, Fiji increased to more than 5 million tons. It's really difficult to find documents about the withdrawal of the Russian army from Germany at these times. Also, it's impossible almost to find the documents about the construction, because all these documents, mostly in Moscow, there is nothing left in Lithuanian archives. But I find one document in the KGB archives in Vilnius regarding the surveillance, counterintelligence protection measures for special and military cargo on Klaipeda-Ukraine line. This document stated that according to the plans of the Soviet Ministry of Defense for 22,000 wagons and about 700 million tons of military cargo would be transported annually through this terminal. So the Soviet security officers stated that the Klaipeda seaport had a permanent presence of the foreign ships, and there were permanent cargo ships lines from Klaipeda to Bremen and Klaipeda to Hamburg. And the international ferries are constantly sailing on the far water alongside foreign ships, whose crews are able to record their movements. It was also noted that Klaipeda is a home to a large number of persons with relatives abroad and correspondence with them, persons convicted of the state crimes, as well persons of German and Jewish nationality who have applied for permission to emigrate to West Germany and Israel. And also, since Perestroika, foreign citizens from Western Germany and United States started to arrive at Klaipeda and was allowed to settle. In order to prevent espionage or possible diversions, the Soviet security services planned to intensify the surveillance of the suspicious persons using KGB agents at the International Sea Ferry Terminal, Klaipeda Trade Port, Baltic Shipyard, and Draugystė Railroad Station. With the fall of Berlin Wall and the clumping of the communist regimes in Eastern Europe, economic ties became to erase, and Klaipeda International Seaport felt on the hard times. In 1990s, after Lithuania gained independence, real true independence, 1991, 1992, there was economical very different situation, and sometimes Lithuanian economy and especially Klaipeda seaport was saved by the transporting of the metals from Russia to the Western countries, and also by withdrawal of the Russian Western group of forces, troops from Germany, and these monies received for this transportation really helped in business. Since the 1993, the International Sea Ferry Terminal has seen an increase of the number of the car transport, and was necessary to find space for trailers, trucks, and also for new parkings. And Lithuanian businessmen started to business of shipping used cars from Germany to Lithuania and exporting them to Russia and other post-Soviet countries. The construction of new parking lots and entrances has started. All ferries on the Klaipeda-Zasnets line, except the Klaipeda ferry, were converted to carry wheeled vehicles, trucks, and passengers. In 1993, the new ferry line Klaipeda-Kiel was opened with the launch of the Vilnius and Kaunas ferries, which delivered trucks and other transportation. At the same time, the ferries also opened sleeping cabins for tourists traveling to Germany and from Germany and business people. New ferry lines from International Ferry Terminal was not only to Germany opened, but also to Sweden, Denmark, Poland, and Russia. The historical route between Klaipeda and Zasnit ceased to exist in the autumn of 213. And currently there is two regular ferry lines in Klaipeda, Klaipeda-Karlshamn and Klaipeda-Kiel, but they operate from the new terminal in the center part of Klaipeda city. The old international ferry terminal was demolished in 200. 217. And now pictures. Yes, place, yes, that was before the building of terminals, 1960. And here also you can see construction of the terminal in the Smelter Peninsula. Here is some nomenclature is looking how the job is doing. Here also under the construction, workers looking to the plans. Opening ceremony of the Klaipeda ceremony with Lithuanian, with dances of Lithuanians. Here it's also medal for that Klaipeda and Mukran line, yes, for that occasion. And here was a place of the terminal from the, and now it's not exist anymore. And here is this huge ferries that played so important role now in the trade and also in the withdrawal of the German army. Here it's also Klaipeda International Sea, port terminal that ceased to exist. Thank you very much.